In question number 5, it gave you a table, and then underneath it says if x equals 1 represents the year 2000. So what you had to do for this question here is instead of plugging in 2000, 2001, and 2002 into your table, you should have plugged in 1, 2, and 3 into your table. If you did use 2000, 2001, and 2002, the answers would not come out because the values were too high. Okay, so make sure that you read the directions, and if it says to replace with x equals 1, make sure that's what you're plugging into your calculator, not the 2000, 2001, 2002. This one asked for a power regression. Our power regression, if we go into our calculator, we can see all the different types of regressions, and our power regression is option number, or letter A, and we would select power regression for this data in our table. Thousandth is 3 decimal places, and then we write it out as we see it. Make sure that you're copying down the formula. The formula is always given to you in the beginning of the calculator. When you bring up the screen, okay, when you bring up the screen in the calculator, it's going to tell you what the equation should look like. So just make sure that you're plugging into that equation. Then it says use this equation to round to the nearest whole number for the year 2000. So now remember, we plugged into the calculator 1, 2, and 3, so we need to follow that same pattern for the year 2007. So we would follow 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, okay, all the way, if we count all the way to 2007, that gives us 8. Okay, so we would have to plug 8 into the equation, and we get 272. The next thing was asking for a linear regression. So again, you plug this into your L1, this into your L2, select option 4 for your linear regression. Question number 7 says, be careful here on these types of questions because everything's written above the table, and it's very easy to forget that there's 2 parts that they're asking us. Excuse me. 2 parts that they're asking in this equation here. The first, or this question here, the first thing that they're asking is for a linear regression equation. So we have to plug this into L1, this into L2, option 4 to do a linear regression. Then once you have your equation, it wants you to use that equation to find the population in year 2009. And to the nearest 1/10 of a percent is 1 decimal place. So in this equation, we're going to plug in 2009. Here we're still plugging in 2009 because we plugged in years into our calculator. The only time that you would be changing it to a 1, a 2, a 3 is if it said in the directions to replace with a 1, 2, or 3. That's why we had to use an 8 here, because we replaced it with a 1. If we're using years in the table, then you plug in the years into the functions. Question 8 says the scatter plot below shows the profit by month for a new company for the first year of operation. Katie drew a line of best fit. Using this line, estimate the profit in month 18. So the best way to estimate a profit, especially if they tell you your X value, 18, come up to the line where it looks like it's hitting 18, and then just come across to your Y value here. So we can see it's in between 40 and 45, which could be somewhere around 42,500. Question 9 is another one of those predictions. Okay, so it says based on the line of best fit, what would be a best prediction for a student who spends about 4 hours on math homework each week. So I'm going to erase what's already been written on this and kind of redo it with you. So a line of best fit is a linear function. So a line of best fit would kind of be right in between all the points, trying to have about the same amount above and below the line. That would be what our linear line would look like. So it wants us to estimate for 4 hours. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did in the last question. Come up to 4, where 4 would be, and then go over to where we think 4 would be. And out of the answer choices, the closest one it looks like it would be is about 72, and that's why it's option B. Question number 10 was asking you to match the scatter plot to the data. And automatically we can eliminate choice B and choice D because our X value is the cost of the sweatshirt, because remember the first one's always X. So and the Y value is the number sold. In B and D, those X and Y values are on the wrong side of the scatter plot, so we know that those two cannot be our answers. So then we come over here and we look, and we're going to start plotting our points to see which ones match up. So our first one in our table should be 10, 9. If we look in the first column, first graph, we go 10, 9. That point does not match up. So let's check in C. 10, 9, that one does, so that is why C is our answer. Question 11, it says a cup of soup is left on a countertop to cool. The table below gives the temperature. Again, L1, L2. Anytime you see a table like this, get into the habit of just plugging it into your calculator. You're probably going to be finding some kind of regression model with it. It then says exponential regression equation to the nearest thousandth. Thousandth is 3 decimal places. So we plug it in and we choose our exponential regression, which we know that exponential regression is option 0. And then we just write down what the calculator gives us. For question number 12, what I would suggest you doing here, because it wants you to write the line of best fit for this scatter plot. Now they don't give you any information other than this line and these 5 points. So what I would recommend you doing is in your calculator, we're going to take these points and we're going to plug them into our table for L1 and L2. So L1 is all of our X values. So 1, 2, again I'm just writing the X values of the points, 5, 7, 10. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to write the Y values for the points in the same order that they were given. So 30, 35, 55, 60, 70. Stat, calc, and again we want a linear regression because it's talking about a line of best fit. So option 4, and then it gives us our function right here. If it doesn't ask for a specific decimal value, just give me 2 decimal values. So if the question doesn't say round to the nearest thousandth or hundredth or whatever, just do 2 decimal places and that'll be okay. And then the last one was another prediction. What would be the expected value for June 2015? So again, we can come up to about June 2015, come over like so, and it looks like it's about 480, okay, somewhere around there, 475, 490. Any of those answers, as long as it's within the same range, would be good. If you said 375 or 425, you would lose points because it is definitely way closer to 500 than the 400.